You're listening to Heels on the Diamond, presented by Heels on Franklin. If this episode hits the mark, do us a favor. Like it, drop a comment, and share it with a friend. That kind of support keeps the podcast rolling. You can find all episodes on the Heels on Franklin YouTube channel and on Spotify. So whether you like watching or listening, we've got you covered. Let's get into it.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Heels on the Diamond. I'm your guy, Chris Smith, and as always, this episode is presented by Heels on Franklin, and also, as always, I'm here with no other than the lead analyst for Heels on Franklin, Heels on Diamond, all things Carolina baseball, Andrew Forrest. Andrew Forrest, how we doing?
I'm good. How are you, Chris Smith?
Christmas doing okay.
Yeah,
Christmas is doing okay.
I'm ready for Friday. I'm like a little kid, on Christmas. I keep going downstairs, peeking under the tree, and there's no gifts there yet. But Friday, hey, it's going to be here.
Yeah, I think you got some gifts coming. My friend. Wow, I stuttered big time there. It's okay. It happens to all of us. Rough start. I don't know. We started podcasts before with being completely muted.
That's true.
That is a rough start. But I'm excited. It is postseason play. We have the opportunity for some Bosch magic in the postseason. We have some opportunity for some Chapel thrill magic. Yep. I would actually prefer some Chapel thrill. Chapel thrill to me feels a little bit different than Bosch magic. Bosch magic really feels like anxiety.
Yeah, Bosch magic, you're on the edge of your seat, like you're not sure for a while if you're going to win or lose.
Right.
I don't want any close games. I want them all in favor of Carolina up by 10 plus runs.
That's why I say I prefer Chapel thrill.
Yeah, I think you're right. I will say, hey, I think you saw it. I think you might have retweeted it, but the video that Carolina Diamond Hill's Twitter put out today, it was narrated by Jake Knapp. I was ready to run through a wall. Pump me up.
I will say I watched until I saw Jake narrated by Jake Knapp, and then something came up, and I had to do something. But I ain't going to come back to it. The way I just sounded made that sound like
you hate Jake Knapp.
I saw Jake Knapp narrated. I'm out. No, totally not the case. Something popped up. We're also running like 5 minutes behind because I got caught up with my kiddo. So, but look, do us a favor. This show is presented by Heels on Franklin. It always goes a long way as a grassroots podcast show, whatever you want to call it. If you reshare this stream on Twitter, we got to get these numbers up. For the past 2 weeks, it's been low. I don't know if everybody is getting a little, I don't know. What's the word I'm looking for, Andrew? Not tired of baseball, but
maybe tired of me or you or us. I don't know.
Potentially, because it didn't happen until I came back on after Trevor.
That's true.
That is true. So maybe that's the case. But do us a favor, reshare this on Twitter. If you're right now, if you're watching and listening on Twitter, if you're over on YouTube, just let us know where you're listening from. It's good to see my friend Jason from Pennsylvania, who found us through the Tar Pit podcast, had an opportunity to attend a game with him for football. He's been out to our live game day shows, lives up in Pennsylvania. I am kind of did mention to him, hey, you should move to Chapel Hill and help us out with Hills on Franklin. I think it's going to be later in the cards for him. As long as it happens, I'm good with it. It's good to see my guy, Jeff Blackwood. Of course, we're going to be back on the air tomorrow talking all things Olympic sports. Going to highlight
heartbreaker over the weekend.
Some heartbreakers. I don't want to get into it because I might start blaming refs, and I'm just I don't want to start the show out that way. But yeah, going to be back up with Jeff. So like I said, do us a favor, reshare this stream, like it, comment, the whole 9 yards. It goes a long ways. We're talking Chapel Hill regional preview tonight. Andrew has spent I clocked him at 5 hours. He said he had 5 hours in our 9 pages of notes, and I got about 3 hours into the graphics work. So we do our due diligence in bringing this show to y'all, and it would just mean a lot if this show was continued to be supported like it has been throughout the whole season. So, Andrew, well, first, I want to let everybody know what we're doing tonight. Chapel Hill preview, but beforehand, we're going to do 5 to 10 minutes of how we felt about the ACC tournament, because we were actually thinking about hopping on Sunday it was, and I had to cancel that due to having a migraine or whatever it was, so we weren't able to get in there right there for that. So we apologize, but we're going to spend about 10 minutes just like we do for every episode of this season and talk about the ACC tournament. Then we're going to spend the most of our time previewing Tennessee, previewing East Carolina, the names you need to know, the key players, the stats. We got it all. We got it all for you guys tonight. And then we're going to preview VCU and UNC, which is our first game. And I also believe if you're a Rams Club member, your tickets have hit your have hit your digital wallet, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Andrew, do you mind if I ask you, did you get any extras?
No. So the email I read, I panicked because when I first opened it, highlighted in yellow, it said something to the likes of like not available or something like that. And I was like, what? I had to do a double take. So I got my two, because I'm my 2 season tickets. I got my 2, but the 2 extras I put in for were denied, which I hate for the person that I'm trying to help out here. And I felt bad having to DM him and tell him that I didn't get them. But I am pumped because that means demand's high and it should be a fantastic atmosphere at the Bosch.
Yeah, I know I've got my 3 tickets, because we have 3 season tickets. So 3 tickets, but I haven't asked the wife yet. She kind of manages that part. If we got any extras yet. So I will definitely get to know that a little bit later. But Andrew, let's go ahead and dive into the ACC tournament, how we felt like it went. Shout out to Daniel listening over on YouTube. Gives us a good old hi back to you, Daniel. Thanks for tapping in to the Hills on the Diamond. I will say I almost previewed this show with the Tar Pit podcast intro, and I caught myself right when we started. So, and I almost said it then. So, Daniel, appreciate you tapping in to Hills on the Diamond as we talk ACC tournament, preview the Chapel Hill Regional, and then talk a little bit of Carolina softball, just a little bit. Andrew, let's take it away. Overall, how do we feel like the ACC tournament? We made it to the championship game, fell a little short. Where we go from here?
Yeah, there were some positives. I think the bats, especially in game 2, I mean, 6 homers against Pitt, absolutely blew that game wide open. So the bats are a positive. But one major concern really in all 3 games was the starting pitching. Not necessarily the bullpen, but the starting pitching. DeCaro in game 1 only goes 3.1 innings. Game 2, I got to scroll down. Ryan Lynch only goes 4. And then in game 3, Folger Boaz only goes 2.2. So all 3 starters were pulled early. And so it kind of depends on if you're a glass half full or a glass half empty person. If you're a glass half empty, it's kind of, hey, I'm concerned heading into the biggest portion, the most important portion of the season. But if you're a glass half full guy, like I hope, or I at least try to be, you can look at it like, hey, DeCaro has been pitching well. Boaz has been a little up and down, but he's had some good innings here and there. Maybe they're just getting these bad outings out of the way. So then now DeCaro is locked back in for postseason. That's the one that's most concerning, was DeCaro only going 3.1, I think, in my opinion. So hey, glass half full. We're getting those bad outings out of the way early.
Okay, what's your thoughts? I mean, overall, you said some up and down innings from Boaz. What's kind of your overall thoughts? With him.
Boaz, this is 3 games in a row. So 3 starts in a row for Folger Boaz, where the first couple innings he's come out and been fantastic. I know he got 1 or 2 really big strikeouts in the first inning against Georgia Tech. You can just see the confidence. And then we talked last week, once he hits about 70 to 75 pitches, it's almost like there's a wall he hits or he just kind of fizzles out. And so I'm really concerned if there's a game 3 or a winner take all game and you've got Boaz slated to start, if it's a situation where maybe you've used up a Caden Glauber like they had already done, or used up a Walker McDuffie. So I know he's been more of a midweek starter, but I would not be shocked. And I don't know if I was Forbes, I would probably, and again, I'm nowhere near as knowledgeable in the sport of baseball as Scott Forbes. But I would tend to maybe start a Jackson Rose in a game 3. I know he's a freshman. I know you got to be careful throwing a freshman out there and maybe a winner-take-all game, an elimination game. But I just don't know if you can have Boaz only give you 60 to 70 pitches, 2, maybe 3 innings, and then you're having to go to the bullpen anyway. So I wouldn't be shocked if game 3 of the regional, hopefully it's not an elimination game, but Carolina's 3rd game this weekend, I guess that'll be Sunday. If Carolina rolls out Jackson Rose over Boaz. And again, I think Boaz out of the bullpen, if he can give you those 2 really good innings, can be phenomenal and give you some much needed help out of the pen and some depth in the pen.
Remind me, in the ACC tournament, did we see Rose? I know we saw Rose, of course, right? But did we see him before Game 3?
He let's see, I gotta scroll back up. This is what happens when you have 9 pages of notes, is that you lose your place in where you have stuff. He did. Oh man, I must have missed putting it. He did pitch, but I don't have it in here whether it was Game 2 or Game 3. I know it was Game 3. I know off the top of my head it was Game 3.
Okay.
And he came in and was pretty sharp. I think he ran into a bit of trouble maybe in his 3rd inning, but for the most part, he was fairly sharp.
Yes. Okay. So that was kind of like, a long, winded road to kind of get to the point that I wanted to make out of that. I just needed to make sure that he pitched in Game 3 and not Game 1 or 2 prior to making this point. If he was going to potentially start in Game 3, I tend to stay on the side of the lines of I would have liked to have tried that out sooner, right, than in a regional. I know we saw it, right, in the ACC tournament last year, right, when you had
Lynch.
Yeah, when you had Lynch come in there and was dominant, right, and that was kind of, I mean, we all knew he was good, right, but when we saw him in the ACC tournament be as dominant as he was, it made us raise some eyebrows, right?
Yeah.
We knew that potentially going into this season, we had a good day 2 start, a great day 2 starter. And he's been that. He's been that consistent guy. But going back to, the Boaz conversation about day 3 with Rose starting over him, if that would have been, if that is going to be the case, I tend to stay on the side of the line of I would have liked to have seen that prior to the regional, right? And I had also potentially thought that we could have potentially saw that happen in the ACC tournament. And I was a little bit surprised that we saw Boaz take the rubber in Game 3 there.
I tend to agree. I think it's still a high leverage situation. It's an ACC title game, but it's not quite as high leverage as a potential regional game where, hey, if you lose, your season may be over.
Well, I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Of course, right? The regional is a high leverage, a whole lot more high leverage situation than the ACC tournament. I mean, most coaches would say that even when it comes to basketball, right? In this day and time, and I think we saw Forbes manage as if it was not as a high leverage situation compared to a regional, because you didn't see a DeCaro that could pitch right on Sunday, but we needed to save him for what really matters.
I think the biggest concern, or the biggest nightmare, I guess to say, for Carolina would be if in this weekend in the regional, if DeCaro has a repeat of last weekend, he only goes 2, 3, 3.5 or 3.2 innings, and he gets pulled because he gets in trouble. And then you have to turn to a Glauber. You burn Glauber for the weekend, and then maybe Game 2, McDuffie has to go for a while because Lynch has been up and down lately. Mm-hmm. And then you're in a Game 3 situation that may be, either winner take all or an elimination game. And then you're left with Boaz, who's not being able to go deep. And then you don't have a guy like McDuffie or Glauber coming out of the pen. And then you're in a world of trouble. And I think we talked last week, kind of the biggest concern moving forward. And I do think it is that lack of bullpen depth. Can Rose be that consistent guy out of the pen? Can Mateus be that consistent guy out of the pen?
Looked great.
Yeah, he looked fantastic. Couple deep balls that for a second I thought, oh man, it's out. And then it was called the warning track. But in Game 2, he looked fantastic. But then I think he came out in Game 3 and there were some wild pitches. I don't put all the blame on that on him. I think a bit of that was making Winslow, who's fantastic defensively, but Winslow being rusty. This was his first time catching since the High Point game, which was, I think, at the end of March, early April. And so I think it was more he was rusty because Mateus has that one pitch that he just buries in the dirt time and time again. And he gets swings and misses on it. And so catchers have got to be able to stay in front of that. And so I think that was part of the issue. But outside of a couple wild pitches, Matthew Mateus was solid, which is huge moving forward.
Yeah. And so, Andrew, I think we can start to segue now into the Chapel Hill Regional preview with talking about pitching, right? And how we're going to do this tonight. We are going to first talk about Tennessee, what they bring to the Chapel Hill Regional as it relates to their key players, their overall numbers as a team, right, throughout this whole season. We're going to talk about East Carolina, a team that, UNC is very, very familiar with, faced each other. We have that one lone tie at the end of our record because of that, right, which is tore my OCD up all season long. That's kind of a joke, kind of not. But prior to and then we're gonna talk about VCU and how it relates to UNC, because that is our first game that we're gonna pay attention to both, right, on Friday. But what we're most looking forward to is that Friday evening game. Want to get some comments in here. Our guy Sam says, "What's up, guys?" Sam, it's good to see you, man. I don't think we've had you comment many on many shows. We know that you are what do you call it? Dirt bag head.
Sam's
baseball head, diehard Carolina baseball fan. Devin, I know that your son had a championship game, and you're going to be tapped in right now, as you said earlier. Let us know in the comments. How's he doing? Is he winning? We'll see, two or three from the plate, 3 or 3 from the plate. Is he on the mound? Is he pitching a no-hitter? If he is pitching a no-hitter, don't let us know.
Yeah, don't say anything. Be careful.
Because we'll jinx him. We got Paulie here listening over on Twitter. Let's go Tar Heels. Yes, let's go Tar Heels. Friday, starting off. So I want to start by previewing this regional by talking about pitching, right? I was thinking about this earlier, Andrew, and let me know your thoughts on this. Say we have even a Folger Boaz situation, if a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right? All 3 pitchers lined up to go, how they've been going all year. No changes made there. DeCaro, Lynch, Boaz. And they're pitching consistently. Our first 2 pitchers are pitching consistently like they've done most of the year, right? Dominant, right? DeCaro and Lynch. Boaz up and down like we've talked about. You give me those 3 in a super regional against any team in America. I'm not saying we're going to win, but I'm very confident.
Oh, yeah.
I feel very comfortable going into a 3-game setup like a regional. Now, you give me a super regional, excuse me. Now, give me a regional like we have now, regardless of the teams that are put in that regional, I am a lot nervous. I am a whole lot nervous, even with DeCaro pitching at a high level like he's done most of the year. Lynch pitching at a high level like he's done all year long, or most of the year. And then Boaz up and down all year long. I am extremely nervous about this weekend getting out of this regional due to the makeup of a bracket when it comes to a regional. Let me know in the comments. Those tapped in right now, 83 of you. Let me know. Am I off my rocker here? How do you feel? Do you feel that the super regional, do you feel more comfortable in a super regional with a 3-game? Andrew, let me know. What's your thoughts here?
I agree. I mean, like it takes one bad game from one of your top guys, again, with that lack of bullpen depth, where you may end up getting a win out of it, but you're potentially burning not only one of your starters, but you're burning a Caden Glauber, a Walker McDuffie, God forbid both, right? So, yeah, you may get that win there, but then later on in an elimination game, you could be in a world of trouble. So I think definitely a 3-game series, a super regional series, or hopefully the final in Omaha, the College World Series final, it's a 3-game series. I think Carolina and their makeup is much more suited for that than it is earlier on in the College World Series, or like you said, in a regional. And look, the committee, we'll talk about this in a bit. The committee did Carolina no favors. So there's no pushover in this regional.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and move to that. And talking about the Chapel Hill Regional, it seems like it has become the norm, right? The expected, right, for Carolina baseball, the Diamond Hills, to host a regional, right? And I was thinking about this earlier today. I know that's my second time saying that. I do think a lot, as I do. I hope that all y'all do think through things as well. Maybe not at the depth I do, because it can be obsessive at times. But I was thinking through this as well as fans that we need to be careful not to be spoiled, right?
Yes.
Because it is still a privilege to host, right? As we see our counterparts, right, here in North Carolina are not so privileged as we are this year in hosting a regional. You know, we are not traveling. They are.
No.
Even if they should have not made it into the whole bracket
Man.
as a whole.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Talking about the team that wears red and white.
Yeah.
But listen to this. Over the past 20 seasons, Boschheimer Stadium has hosted 14 NCAA regionals in Chapel Hill. That's pretty dominant over the past 20 years.
That's incredible, considering some teams, you know, that are good quality baseball programs have only hosted a couple times.
Mhm.
You said 14 out of the last 20.
14 out of the last 20. I'm pretty sure that's correct. And with you asking it back to me, I'm second guessing myself, but I'm pretty sure.
That is, I mean, it's almost expected, which shows you, because we've got a coaching change in there. It shows you how smooth this transition has been from legendary Mike Fox to Forbes.
Mhm.
God, dude, I'm telling you, his name always throws me for a loop because I always want to call him Steve Forbes because I live in Winston-Salem, right?
Yeah, they're
And
not
so
relatable.
anytime I turn on the news, it's Steve Forbes, who's Wake Forest basketball coach. And so I always have to catch myself and say, Scott. And I almost said Steve just now. But so yeah, Scott, that transition's been phenomenal. And, you know, no matter what, after a loss, so it happened again after losing to Georgia Tech. People in my Twitter replies, oh, Forbes is a choke artist. Oh, Forbes is no good. He's overrated. I'm like, look, Forbes, I'd say 98% of the schools in college baseball right now would kill to have Scott Forbes as their head coach. There's only a couple schools that would be like, nah, we're good, right? We're blessed, and we got to stop jumping off a bridge. I guess that's a terrible way of putting it, but we have to stop acting like the world's ending anytime Carolina loses a single game.
It's really easy for people to have the mindset in basketball, right? To go from basketball to baseball, right? Because they don't really understand the makeups of the games and how things unfold in baseball as it relates to basketball. And right. And what I mean by that, let me see if I can explain this. You know what I mean, Andrew? In basketball, it's really easy to separate talent a lot quicker, right? From a team that is not as talent, it's a lot easier to be dominant quick, right? Well, when it comes to baseball, anybody can lose on any given night. We've seen it from a P5 school, you know, to taking on a top 5 ranked P4 team and losing.
Yeah,
right.
If
That's
Carolina
why
basketball,
a Coastal Carolina team is able to be dominant in the sport of baseball.
If Carolina or basketball lost to, let's say, UNC Wilmington or UNC Greensboro, people would be like, and rightfully so, being like, what in the world's going on? You lose those teams in the midweek in baseball, and if you're knowledgeable on how baseball works, yeah, maybe you should have won, but it's not surprising. That's why very few teams, if any, ever go undefeated in midweek games. It's just how the sport is.
Carolina almost did it.
Almost. And look, the one they lost was a ranked Coastal team.
Yep.
So you take that out, and they did do it. But like last year, UConn is not a very good baseball team. They got shut out at home at the Bosch against UConn. Last year's team was still a top 8 national seed, hosted a regional and a super, and was really one error away from Omaha. It happens.
It happens. Just want to remind everybody, I'm Chris Smith. I'm your co-host here for Hills on the Diamond. I'm talking with Andrew, our lead analyst for all things Carolina baseball. We appreciate everybody tapping in. If you're just tapping into this show, do us a favor, share it out to Twitter. I'll be honest, we usually have like 250 people, but the past 2 weeks, we've struggled on the train up the hill to get 100.
Look, we even moved the show tonight so you guys could watch hockey after this.
I know. Ice sport.
Which I'm not into, but hey, my in-laws will love it, and I'm happy for them.
They love figure skating tonight?
Nah, hockey.
Okay.
Yeah.
You like my comment, though?
I did. I thought I got a good chuckle out of that when I saw it earlier today.
I know. I saw you sitting at your desk at work chuckling.
I hope you didn't see me sitting at my desk. You could have said hi.
Oh, you know what I mean.
Oh, you mean like you visualized it?
Yeah, thought about it.
Okay, gotcha. It's like
Not
if you're
in-
my work,
not
if
in
you're my
depth,
work,
though.
that's weird, but okay.
Not in depth like I do a lot of other things.
Gotcha.
But okay, Andrew, let's talk about this. Let's talk about how did Auburn jump us? Let's talk about how we got here with the teams that Carolina got. And I get it. At some point, you put that behind you, right? And everybody laces their cleats up the same. Everybody puts their gloves on their hand the same. Might just be a different hand, or they're not lace them up, but Velcro their back gloves the same, and they got to go play ball. But we haven't had an opportunity to talk about like almost every single national writer and baseball podcaster that talks about all of college basketball has a
My sound just went out. I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Did yours come unplugged?
I think so.
I thought it was on my end. I started to panic. I was seeing your lips move.
There we go. My bad. So I will shorten this by saying all the national writers, all the national podcast hosts for Carolina baseball, right? Seemed like they came to an agreement that Chapel Hill, Carolina baseball, I should say, was shafted, done wrong with these three other teams landing here. Maybe not these three other teams. I think one or two teams for sure. Definitely when you look at it metrically as well. This is not just something people are making up out of thin air just because the name on the jersey says Tennessee or the name on the jersey says East Carolina. How did we get here? How did Auburn jump us? I don't think anybody even expected this going into Monday, the regional show selection day.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because if you watch the ACC title game, the announcers were talking about, they said it at least 2, if not 3, 4 times, that regardless of what happens in the ACC title, that these two teams will be top 4 seeds tomorrow, right? And they said it again at least twice. I will say this, though. I'm not as upset about Auburn jumping Carolina as some fans are, because they released that night or that morning, about 10 minutes before the selection show, they released the top 4 seeds, and Carolina wasn't listed. And so Carolina Twitter blew up. People were upset. How can Auburn jump us? You look at the records, and there is a legitimate gripe, but I can see why potentially Auburn was put ahead of Carolina, right? I think both fan bases have a legitimate argument. If you look at the metrics, Carolina obviously has the better overall record, and they have the better DSR, which is one of the metrics the committee looks at. Auburn, though, was number 3 in the RPI compared to Carolina at number 4, so very close. And RPI is the biggest metric the committee looks at. And Auburn also had a tougher strength of schedule. Now Carolina's was fairly tough, but Auburn's was the toughest in the country. So when I look at it this way, I look at it kind of like Carolina had some metrics on their side, Auburn had metrics on their side. And so you have to pick which one do you go with. Ultimately, I would look at, okay, when they're this close metrically, you look at who has the better record. So personally, I still would have had Carolina at 4 because Carolina only has 11 losses compared to Auburn's 19. But I see why you could potentially put Auburn ahead. I don't necessarily totally agree with it, but I see why it was done. But again, if I was on the committee and it's neck and neck like it was, I'm looking at, okay, which team, like you said, when you put the gloves on, you pick up the bat, the baseball, which team won more games? That's who I'm going to take as my 4. But again, I'm not as upset about that as some people are.
Okay. So I understand that. I was quite upset about it. So I understand your reasoning. And it makes sense. But prior to the show, you had mentioned that actually one of your biggest gripes is VCU showing up in Chapel Hill as a 4 seed. Yeah. Why does this bug Andrew so much?
So you look at, again, RPI, which is it's a very flawed metric. We've talked about that a ton on this show. Heck, it's a metric that when you win a game, It can drop, makes no sense.
And I will add to the letter, right? The popping of the hands letter that the NCAA sent out about, don't cancel games due to RPI,
which they didn't enforce.
Or you will look. I just did that whole build up to say that, and you took it from me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So yeah,
the floor is yours. Yeah,
you got it. Nope, you said it already.
Yeah,
So,
I mean they sent out this warning letter, and it was just like it was all for show.
Yeah.
But yeah. So VCU's RPI, which again is this flawed metric, but it's a metric that the committee uses a lot. It's the main metric they use. Their RPI is number 82 in the country. Okay. There are 2-3 seeds in the NCAA tournament. That's Washington State and South Carolina Upstate. They have worse RPIs. Washington State's at 83, so one spot behind VCU, and South Carolina Upstate is at 84, also right behind VCU. Here's my issue with that, right? So those were 3 seeds. VCU is the 4th seed, and Carolina's regional. So you have teams. Now, when you look at the top 16, right? The top 16 hosts, you have teams who are ranked lower than Carolina. So Carolina's 5, ranked lower than Carolina, who potentially have an easier 3 seed than Carolina does 4 seed. And if you want to look at, it's because VCU is so close to North Carolina, well, so is South Carolina Upstate, right? West Virginia, who is the last host school, number 16 seed, that's not super far from VCU. VCU is in Richmond, Virginia. Why not send, if you want to make VCU a 4 seed, why not send them up to Morgantown, West Virginia, and we'll trade places. We will take Binghamton as Carolina's 4 seed, and I'm pretty sure Binghamton has an RPI well into the 100s. Let's see. I think I got it. Yeah, no. They are, 118. So it makes no sense to me how Carolina gets metrically the toughest 4 seed, and schools like Oregon, 11 seed, Nebraska, 13 seed, Mississippi State, 14 seed, West Virginia, 16 seed. They all get 4 seeds that metrically are much worse than VCU coming to Chapel Hill and 5-seeded UNC.
Yeah, that makes no sense at all.
Yeah. And then you want to add in the fact, something else that upsets me is that Carolina's playing 2 teams they've already played this year. They played VCU in the midweek, and they played a complete series against ECU. And the committee said before, they don't really want rematches, in the regional round, maybe later on. So it doesn't make any sense to me. This was the first year where the committee actually ranked teams 1 through 32. Okay. Previous years, it was 1 through 16. And they would a lot of times base these regionals based on proximity. What schools are close to you that are making the tournament, and how can we make travel easier? The problem with that is that it wasn't fair to some of your higher seeds. They were stuck with a tougher regional just because they had teams that were nearby them that could travel there more easily, right? So the whole point of ranking teams 1 through 32 was, in a perfect world, UCLA, your overall number 1 seed, gets the number 32 ranked team as their 2 seed. So the lowest ranked 2 seed. And then West Virginia, your 16 seed, your last host, gets the number 17 team as their 2 seed in a perfect world, right? So, but it seems like they were very wishy-washy with sticking to that, because Carolina, there's a couple, I think Oregon has Washington State in their regional. You can't have it both ways. You can't have teams and regionals built based on proximity and say, oh yeah, we tried to make this fair by ranking the teams 1 through 32. Either you did or you didn't.
Hey, I think you got a lot of gripes. And it's the first time in a while that a gripe was not having to do something with a hot dog. So
that is, hey, that shows you how good Carolina's been this year. When my biggest gripe during the season is hot dogs.
Or it shows you how far you've come as a person from not being petty.
My wife would beg to differ. I'm still pretty petty. And hey, look, I know I'm going back to what I just said, but I love what Paulie says here. Pop that up on the screen.
Yeah, I was about to get to it. Which one? Cal and Stanford?
Yeah. The fact that Cal and Stanford just flew 3,000 miles to play an elimination game in Charlotte, North Carolina in the ACC tournament. But you're worried about, should we send VCU to Morgantown, West Virginia, or should we send them to Chapel Hill? Makes zero sense.
Talk about the grave mishandling of athletic budgets.
Go back 20 years and tell any college sports fan that in 2026, and we saw it last year was even worse, because last year you had Cal as the number 16 seed in the ACC tournament, or 15 seed, playing the 9 a.m. game in, what was it, Durham last year? So they're playing a 6 a.m. baseball game back home in Cal.
Brutal.
In the ACC tournament.
Brutal. They should have never joined.
No.
They say you can blame Bo Carrington for that, right?
Yeah, because he's the one. He had the boo. States AD had the final vote, so I blame him.
And then of course Devin has the hashtag hot dog gate as part of UNC's baseball history now.
Yeah.
Yes, you cannot have a hot dog promotional and run out third inning. That's wrong. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our preview for the teams. We're going to do a little bit jumping around here. We're going to go East Carolina, since they're the 3 seed, right? And then we're going to we're going to go down to the 2 seed, right? Tennessee. And then we're going to talk about VCU as a team, as a whole, key players, and the matchup all combined into one thing. So we're going 3, 2, 4. Yeah. Because we want to save the best for last. It's also marketing, hopefully, that y'all will stick around longer.
That's true. I didn't think of it that way. Smart.
Hey,
that NBA is paying off.
I'm not sure how much I paid. Never mind. All right, let's go ahead and talk about East Carolina. I will be honest with you, Andrew, as I try to be all the time. If you would have asked me a month ago if East Carolina was going to make the tournament, I would have said, no, I don't know.
I would have probably on Twitter would have said no.
Their fans, I don't know. Be careful, okay? I want you to be careful because I don't want that fan base after us.
No.
Or after our show, because they are brutal.
Yes.
When it comes to that. But I will say their burner verse would have said no, right? I don't think they're normal fans. Well, I shouldn't say normal fans. They're fans that are not burners on Twitter, right?
No, you could say normal because I'm sorry, it's not normal.
The things that they've been doing even to today. Have you seen some of the stuff they put, like AI voices and stuff of Coach Godwin? Like
not
fake leaks and stuff of things he said and stuff. I mean, it's all fake. It's AI. And somebody commented like, "You as a journalist need to get this authenticated." I'm like, "Oh my God, is this person really believing this right now?" It's like this person is not a burner. This person is not a reporter. Somebody with 500 followers. I mean, come on, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But anyway, if you would have asked me this a month ago, let alone them end up in the Chapel Hill regional, I would have said no. But leave it to Coach Godwin for them to defend their AAC title, American Athletic Conference, and make that happen from where they were at midseason and all the injuries that they've accumulated throughout the year. Leave it to one guy to make that happen, and that is Coach Godwin.
Yeah.
And I know you're a Godwin fan.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Love the guy.
So, I mean, kudos to them for making it, right? So let's go ahead and talk about East Carolina. Take it away, Andrew. What you got?
36-22 in that crazy tie with Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
10-12 away, and then 5-1 neutral. I included both of those because obviously against Tennessee, it's a neutral site game. Against Carolina, it is the NCAA may count it as neutral, but obviously it's a road game. In quad one games, they are 3-8. So if they do end up matching up against Carolina, really, or Tennessee, It is a quad 1 game for them either way, and they are 5-3 in quad 2 games. I always like when I'm doing these breakdowns, especially as we get to tournament time. I like to look at kind of the last month of the season. So in May, they finished the regular season with 2 series losses. They lost 2 of 3 at Memphis, and they lost 2 of 3 at home versus Rice. But then they did finish the season with a series sweep of Florida Atlantic. And then they tied for first in the regular season with UT San Antonio. It's in Texas, for those of you that may not know that. But then they ended up losing to, I think it was UTSA early on, and they had to win back-to-back elimination games. And then in the final against UTSA, Ethan Norby came into pitch. He's their ace. We'll talk about him more in a minute. And he was fantastic. They only scored 1 run. That's all they needed. They won the conference title, and they are back in the big show.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of those key players for – well, before we do that, let's talk a little bit about some of the injuries they have had, Andrew, right, and how they've been able to overcome them. I mean, this is a team that's been – the starting rotation, right, has been up and down throughout the whole year.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about that and why that matters going into this regional here at Chapel Hill.
Yeah, they've lost their Game 2 starter and their Game 3 starter. If you guys remember back in February in the series against Carolina, Gavin Van Kempen pitched the Game 2. That was the neutral site game at the DBAP in Durham. And he was fantastic. I mean,
Carolina lost.
Yeah, Carolina lost. I think it was 9-3. He shut Carolina down. Really shortly after that game, he had internal brace surgery, which is what Matty Mateus had last year. I'm not the smartest when it comes to medical stuff, but I think it's kind of like a step before Tommy John. Like you catch it before it's a full UCL tear, but it's similar to Tommy John surgery. He's out for the year. They also lost their their top reliever, Sean Jenkins, who was having a phenomenal season. He's out for the rest of the year. And then their Sunday guy, so their Game 3 starter, Colby Weber, he is also out. So they've lost 2/3 of their starting rotation and their top reliever. And so Cliff Godwin, again, ECU fans like to give him a hard time, but it's been a bit of a masterclass from his end, piecing this rotation together and even making it where they have a chance late in the year to make it to a regional. Ryan Towers has come in. He's a lefty, and he was their midweek guy for a while. He stepped into the rotation and been really just a fantastic piece for them with all these injuries. His ERA is up to down to 3.04. So he's done a fantastic job kind of, taking what was given to him, this opportunity, and running with it, because Towers has really kind of solidified that rotation. And he's actually been the Friday guy. And Norby, although Norby's the better pitcher, he's the best pitcher on their staff, he over the last 2 months has been ECU's Saturday guy. Mm-hmm. And they're going to roll with that this weekend. So Norby is slated to pitch in their second game. Towers will be pitching on Friday against Tennessee.
So, Andrew, while we're here, you do have Ethan Norby as one of your key players to watch, right, for East Carolina. A potential if he's going Game 2, which you just said he is, right? That is what you said, right?
Yeah. They've already announced he's going Game 2.
Potentially, this could be a matchup that, UNC would face.
Yeah.
So give us a little bit just in depth of the stats that we have here on the graphic for Ethan Norby making it as a key player for you to watch.
Yeah, Norby's a lefty. We've talked a lot about how Carolina struggled some with lefties. But with that said, I feel like as the season's progressed, Carolina's gotten better and better against lefties. So it's not as scary as it was, say, going into the Boston College series when they started 3 lefties in a row, right? So It's still a bit worrisome. But when I see that LHP, I'm like, but it's not as big a deal, I think, as it was earlier in the year. His ERA this year is 4.2. That's a little bit higher than it was his freshman and sophomore years. But look at those strikeout numbers. I mean, 120 strikeouts, only 28 walks. The guy has fantastic command, 12.9 strikeouts per 9 inning. So this is not a guy that's going to make a lot of mistakes and put guys on base via the walk. He's fantastic. Ethan Norby, there's a reason why he's going to be a day one pick in the MLB draft more than likely. But this is also a guy that in Greenville earlier this year, Carolina roughed up and chased him pretty early. So,
which he was kind of not, I wouldn't say used to, but at the beginning of the season, I think he had a pretty tough go of it to start the year. Year off.
Yeah. He's definitely figured some stuff out as the year's gone on and settled back in. But it's going to be fun if we do. I say fun. It's going to be interesting if Carolina does end up facing Norby to see, are we getting the Norby we got back in February that Carolina hit all over the ballpark? Or is it going to be the Norby against UTSA that, they end up winning 1-0 and that's all they need because he's been so good.
Let's talk about our other key player that you have here. Second baseman. I believe he was also your key player when we faced him earlier on in the year.
He was. I think Norby was too. And I promise you, I did not just copy and paste this. So it shows you how well they've been or how good they've played over the course of the season.
Consistent.
Yeah. Braden Burris hitting just below 350, gets on base at a 4.448 clip. Is not a big power guy. He's a smaller second baseman. He's not going to intimidate you in the box by any means. He's got only 3 homers, but 11 doubles, 4 triples. I put 3 RBIs. That's a typo of mine. I think it was 30 or 36. Yeah, I apologize. He definitely has more than 3 RBIs on the season. That is, but 10 stolen bases. First team all AAC. God, it's a mouthful. First team all American Athletic Conference. Again, Burris is not a guy that's going to blow you away with the power numbers. But he's a guy that just gets on base. Very similar to a Rhett Johnson that we saw at NC State a couple weeks ago, right? He can get those infield singles. If you're shifting him, he can bunt down the line. He's going to get it to first. So he's a guy that just finds a way to get on base.
Rhett, I will just say it on too far. He is such an impressive player for a freshman.
I dread
what he's for what he's going to become.
Yeah, he's going to be, I'm talking first team all ACC. I dread Carolina playing him over the next 2 years because he's only a freshman.
What's Nixon, a sophomore?
I think Nixon's a sophomore.
Okay.
But see, I'm not sure. He may be draft eligible. I don't know, his age. But Nixon, I'm telling you, hey, Johnson and Nixon, I know State's been up and down this year, had a lot of injuries, but those 2 guys are phenomenal.
Yeah, totally. And so to close out this section, let's talk about just where they rank nationally. And due to time, I will say that we are going to have everything that we are doing tonight, right? You can also find it on Spotify probably tomorrow morning if I don't get it done tonight. But we are also going to have a full preview of everything that we are going over tonight in written form as an article going out tomorrow. It's already done. I just got to get Andrew to write me a closing paragraph for it, which Andrew and I are going to talk about after this is over tonight. He didn't know that, but if you would, that is something I need.
I will.
Spend about 2 hours putting graphics together, stuff that you aren't even seeing tonight for this article. But due to time, I'm not going to go into all the national rankings for East Carolina, right? But give me 1 or 2 that you're very impressed with, and I will give you mine. I will say for East Carolina, I am very impressed because of the injuries that they've had to the pitching staff and the shuffling that they've had to do throughout the season, right? To be top 25 in ERA, to be top 35 in WHIP and K and base on balls, top 35. That is super impressive. Whoever the pitching coach is as East Carolina potentially not only needs a raise, but needs to be looked at for a call up.
Yeah.
Because that's impressive.
That's fantastic. Again, I try to watch ECU. We talked about that last week, and I've watched them a handful of times, but I was really kind of unaware the extent to which they had so many injuries to their pitching staff. And you're spot on. I mean, the fact that their staff ERA is 21st in the country, and you've lost your Saturday guy, your Sunday guy, and your top relief pitcher, that's incredible. And then, you look at the strikeouts on bases on balls, number 33 in the country, which means they've got good command. They don't walk a lot of guys. And we know Carolina's offense was really predicated on working pitches, getting on base. They're at their best when they're walking a lot. So Carolina's if they meet ECU, their work is going to be cut out for them.
Yeah, and I will say this too, Andrew. Their ERA and their pitching overall national stats and rankings here are so impressive to me, not only because of the shuffling they've had to do, but because what they've asked their pitchers to do. Yeah. Right? Ethan Norby coming into this year as that number one go-to guy on a Friday night. And now you're asking him to potentially sometimes start on a Saturday or to come out of the bullpen. A lot of things like that mentally can mess with a pitcher, right? That's why we see more times than not, Coach Forbes tends to, what I would think sometimes, I don't know when I use the word old school. I just don't know a different word to use there. Maybe you do. Tends to lean towards more that way of staying in the rhythm, right? Yeah. We're not going to play the matchup when it comes to pitching, right? We're going to stay with our Friday, Saturday, and Sunday guy. We're not going to change things up. So to me, that's why it's even so much impressive, because they've asked Norby to come out of the bullpen. They've asked him to start a Saturday sometimes, not a Friday. So anything else you want to talk about for East Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, Rev has finally joined us late, unacceptable. Yes. But yeah, I mean, like we said earlier, Ryan Towers is fantastic. I mean, again, he was a guy that probably, unless you're a diehard ECU baseball fan, which, hey, a lot of their fans are, you may have known the name, but you probably didn't know he was as good as he is. And with all these injuries, with the Van Kempen going down, with Weber going down, he's come in and just been phenomenal. And like I said, that is complete. If Towers does not step in and pitch the way he's been pitching lately, ECU's not in the tournament right now. He's the reason why they're able to make it to the Chapel Hill Regional.
Yeah, and look, really quick shout out to Devin. Quick personal update. We asked for you to give us an update. My son's T-ball team won the championship. Congratulations to Devin's son. That's awesome. Tell him that Andrew and Chris are proud of him and we're excited for him. And good luck to your son coming up here shortly. Also, Rev, it's okay, man. Church, work days. It's okay, man. I get it. Wednesdays. Wednesdays is usually today's Wednesday, day. Right?
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. My church does not have Wednesday services, so that completely slipped my mind.
Yep. See, I used to be a youth pastor, so I will not forget that. Wednesdays. Called Youthquake was the name of our youth group. Nice. I will say, East Carolina, I will be interested to see if they bring their megaphones. Where would they use them? Be careful what you say, because I do know the guy that started that. Say what you want.
Right.
I'm just messing with it. I'm just messing with you. But I do know the guy that started that. We haven't spoken over a decade, but I will say, an amazing person, an amazing human being. He was a teacher.
Yeah,
I say like was because he's retired, but just an amazing human being.
I think like our second episode, you told that story about how you found out that he was the one who does the megaphones. My ears hope they don't, but hey, I hope he's here. I hope he's one of only a handful of ECU fans.
Well, I will say, even though I've never been impacted by it other than when I'm watching on TV, we were blessed by not.
I know where you're going with this.
A Vandy whistler.
Yes. I'm sorry. I don't know how Vanderbilt fans put up with it, whether you're watching on TV or whether you're there in person. I mean, it's awful. You can't even enjoy the game because that's all you hear. It's terrible.
Terrible.
Yeah, Vanderbilt missed out. Who else? No Clemson this year. No LSU. So there's some big name teams that didn't make it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's why Auburn jumped us. They said we got to give the SEC some love, some way. We can't have two SEC. We can't have two SEC teams in the same regional. We got to give them all the equally opportunity to get out.
Yep.
Because there isn't a SEC team in the same regional anywhere, is there?
No. SEC bias, strong as ever.
All right, let's talk about Tennessee. Tennessee, up and down year. Something that I guess should have been expected, right? When you have what I would say would you consider him a legendary coach in college baseball?
You talking about Vitello?
Yeah.
I mean, that Tennessee team was by far the best team in the country a couple of years ago, and they won it all.
Yeah, but one year doesn't solidify a coach as a legendary coach.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, you solidify him as a legendary coach in college baseball.
I think if he had stayed and continued to build that program, yes. But I mean, you look at a sport like basketball. Kevin Ollie won a title at UConn. He's by no means, icon in the sport of basketball. So, no. If he had stayed, if he was still there, potentially.
Yeah. Do we know what type of team VCU is as personality? And I'm asking that because this could be a massive personality regional with a team like Tennessee that will talk their talk, bump their chest or whatever their chest, flip bats, and also an East Carolina team that can get after it on that side of the things as well, and not so much for the Tar Heels.
Yeah,
right.
Ethan Norby's a fiery guy on that mound.
Yeah, for sure. So do we know what type of personality VCU is?
I don't. I really don't. I'll tell you, Monty, which we still got to get him on the show at some point. He follows VCU closely. So that may be a question to ask him, Monty, our guy on Twitter. But I don't know. But yeah, I'm telling you, if Carolina, it's all predicated on who wins game one for both teams. But if Carolina ends up playing Tennessee, it's two totally different personalities.
Okay.
You've got Tennessee, loud, brash, flipping bats, talking a little talk. And look, they're good. They can back it up. And you've got Carolina, who really, outside of the occasional Owen Hall pimp job, does not really, they're not very flashy. So very different personalities for these two teams.
Yeah. And Paula, we are going to get to some of our discussion around McDuffie, Glauber, some of those, and the successes to Carolina here shortly. Let's go ahead and talk about Tennessee. Like I was leading off a while ago, had their coach leave, up and down, right? Take it away, Andrew. 7-8 away record, 3-2 on neutral sites, 13-14 in quad one win games here, 2-2 in quad two games. Not the season that they're used to as of late.
Yeah, I mean, and that's to be expected when you have a coach who ends up taking a job, at a different place or a different level. But yeah, very up and down. They are playing better as of late. This is a team that is coming on strong. But I will say this one thing, and we'll probably talk about this here in a second when we look more at the kind of the rankings. But this is a team that's very boom or bust. And what I mean by that is they hit for power. They're, I think, top 20-ish, 25-ish in slugging, but they don't get on base a lot. Their on-base percentage ranks 212th nationally. That's in the bottom quadrant of OBP. So this is a team that, hey, if they can get a hold of one, they're going to send it out of the Bosch. But at the same time, they don't walk a lot. They don't. They hit some doubles. They got that gap power. But they don't hit, they just don't get on base a lot. So lots of strikeouts. And I think that bodes well for a potential matchup with Carolina and Carolina's pitching staff. And also the fact that Boshamer Stadium is a pitcher's ballpark.
Yep.
So I think the fact, I don't really know Tennessee's park, how it plays, but the fact that this is a home game in Chapel Hill bodes well for Carolina.
Okay, gotcha. Let's talk about some of their key players here that, we've highlighted. I know that, on the pitching side of the things, they have one of my favorite, pitchers in all of college baseball, and that's Blanco there.
Yeah, the Virginia transfer.
Yeah, the Virginia transfer. Did I say Virginia or did I say something else?
No, you didn't say anything.
I didn't say anything. The Virginia transfer and Blanco. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, they've got two really good pitchers as their Friday and Saturday guy. Coons is their Friday guy, Tegan Coons. He is they've also announced he's going to be going in the second game. So Coons is their ace, just like Norby is the ace for ECU, and they will both be held out of game one. So we're getting Evan Blanco, but that's not much of a drop-off. Blanco is really good. Carolina's played him before. He's a solid pitcher. So Tennessee, very similar to Carolina, and the fact that they've got a really good ace, like Carolina has DeCaro, Tennessee has Coons. And then there's not a huge drop off to your day 2 guy. Carolina goes to Ryan Lynch, and then Tennessee goes to Evan Blanco. So 2 really good, solid pitching staffs. Really all 4 teams in this regional, but I think especially those 2 that could be a fun matchup this weekend.
So if Carolina wins, we're looking at Norby or Blanco, apparently.
Yeah. No, Norby or Coons.
Norby or Coons. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Blanco is their Saturday guy who's going to be starting on Friday.
Okay. Gotcha. Let's talk a little bit about the other key players, some in the field. Our first one is the catcher here. Okay. Wow. Yep, I am. Won't let that fly. Trent
Grindlinger. I double checked that.
Almost said Grindlinger.
Yeah, no, you were close. Grinned like you're grinning. So Grindlinger. Yeah.
Grindlinger. He'd be grinning with that 300 batting average.
He's only a freshman. No, Grindlinger is a 2026 SEC all freshman team. He's the catcher on that team. 341. I mean, look, when you see a freshman hitting almost 350, A, it's really impressive. But B, you think, man, what's this guy going to be like next year or junior year? Like that's fantastic. 414 OBP. Doesn't have, the home run numbers, only 8 homers, but he's got some power. So the numbers won't blow you away. But again, just like with some of the ECU guys, with the guy like Braden Burris, the home run totals, the doubles, the RBIs, all that's not going to blow you away. But it's the batting average and the OBP that's really impressive. And for a catcher, because catching, catchers, it takes them a little bit longer to kind of get going at the plate because they spend so much time, as a catcher working defensively. So the fact that he's a freshman batting 341 with a 414 OBP, that's really, really good.
Yeah. And let's talk about Henry Ford, maybe potentially part of the family that created the Model T. Who knows?
Yeah, I wasn't thinking when I Googled his name to pull up his season stats, and I'm like, who's this guy? Then I forgot, Henry Ford is the guy who founded Ford. Like, the Henry Ford in baseball, unless you're a baseball fan, is not the Henry Ford everyone knows. But Carolina does know Henry Ford pretty well. So that's a good segue right there. That was solid.
Henry Ford, did I include the wrong stats on their cards?
Let's see.
Yes, I did.
Did you?
No,
you're right. Yeah, you're right.
No, I didn't. I did wrong. See, right here. Tons of power.
Oh, you did. Yeah, I didn't see that.
I'll have to correct that for our
anyway. I'll say this in your defense. I did put that in the notes, but I was talking about Tennessee as a whole, not just Grindlinger. So you probably did see me put that somewhere. Yeah. So I'll take partial blame for that. I apologize.
Yeah. And Rev also says Ford found on road dead. So
hey, well, let's hope he gets shut down but not killed.
Or first on race day.
I'm a Chevy guy, but again, I'm not a NASCAR guy. We talked about that last week, so I really don't care. But Henry Ford, third baseman, another guy that Carolina is fairly familiar with. He's another Virginia transfer. I didn't realize that a couple of the big name guys for Tennessee played at UVA a couple of years ago. 300 batting average. It's a bit down from what he was at last year. But again, 364 OBP. This is your power guy. This is the guy that when he comes to the plate, he can change the game with one swing. If you're down 5-2 with 2 on base, it could be a tie ball game in one swing. 19 homers, 15 doubles, 56 RBIs. But he is a guy that strikes out quite a bit more than he walks. He's got 48 Ks to the season to only 25 walks. So this is a guy that with that Walker McDuffie slider or, Jason DeCaro or Glauber's off-speed stuff, may chase a bit. So you don't want to groove one in the zone to him, but maybe nibble the corners and get him to chase because he does strike out at a consistent clip.
Gotcha. Let's talk about some of their national stats. What surprises you here? I will say when it comes to their national stats, I am a little bit surprised with their on base percentage of how horrific
That's not good at all. Yeah, it's bad.
That is bad. What is it, Andrew? 212, ranked 212 with a 370 there for on base percentage.
Yeah.
What's one? Yeah, for Tennessee. Who would have thought?
Yeah, it's terrible.
What's one that impresses you?
Really, their Ks to or their strikeouts to walk ratio.
Yep.
I mean, number 7 nationally. They have over 3 strikeouts for every walk they give up. All of their pitchers are very good at finding the strike zone, not walking guys. I mean, they walk very few. We talked about ECU doesn't walk a lot. Well, Tennessee walks even fewer, right? And then you look at their whip, number 11th nationally in whip at 1.27. So they'll give up some hits there, but they're not going to walk guys often at all, which that's, you talk about how good Carolina's pitching staff is. That's been kind of their one weakness throughout the year, is that sometimes they walk more than we'd like to see them walk. So very different from Carolina. Tennessee's going to give up some hits, but they're not going to give you free passes on the base paths. Unlike Carolina, who they may limit the hits, but their pitchers may get into some trouble walking 2 or 3 in an inning. So very different from Carolina.
Okay. Anything lastly that you want to talk about here for Tennessee?
Just like I said, I think this is a good matchup potentially for Carolina. We talked about their low OBP. They're also 144th nationally in batting average. They're only hitting 278 as a team. So it's a good potential matchup. Again, they have power. They could potentially, tie a game with one swing, but they're going to have some swings and misses, and this is a good matchup for a pitching staff like Carolina's.
Rev says Tennessee has been bad at times, awesome at times, and emotional at all times.
Yeah. I mean, I think, was it Tennessee a few weeks ago? I think it was an SEC school. It might have been Tennessee. A guy hits one, and he starts yelling to the dugout and slams the bat down, thinking it's like a game tying or game winning homer, and it gets called on the warning track. I'm pretty sure it was. I could be wrong. So Tennessee fans, don't clip me here. It might have been another school, but I think it was Tennessee the dude was chirping big time, and it was a deep fly ball.
Me and Rev have talked a little bit that online. We're very old school when it comes to baseball. Just respect the game, all the new shenanigans that players do. Flipping the bats and all that stuff. I prefer a Forbes managed team and how it relates to, calmer emotions seems to always prevail.
See, I'm kind of in the middle. I'm more of a Owen Hull type. He'll, like I said, he'll pimp that home run. He'll watch it a little bit. He might do a little bat flip here and there.
What, size wise?
No, I wish I was that tall.
Dude is massive, man.
Dude, he's huge.
When you see him on TV, it does not do him justice. When you see him in person, bro, where I sit, right? You see all the outfielders, take that third baseline and cut across, right?
Yeah.
He's a dude.
I know the first time we did post game with him and he came in, you see everybody moving their tripods up because he's so much taller. What is he, 6'5"? Yeah, everybody had to move the tripod up. But
which stung for me because I remember for that post game, I brought my backup tripod for some reason.
It wasn't working well,
and it was it kept sliding down, and so I had to hold it right, and so it kept wanting to slide down. So I was just
yeah. I mean, he's big on he doesn't have the muscle mass that but he's got the size and he's built well. But yeah, give me an Owen Hull. When the opportunity presents itself, he'll pimp it a little bit. He'll not in a showboating way, in a confident way. He's on that line where he doesn't talk too much trash. He doesn't show up the other team too much, but he does enough where you're like, man, that's a cool guy.
I saw Gavin kind of give some words to the NC State guy on Sunday. Was it Sunday? Yeah, it was Sunday. I can't
miss that.
He had highlights in his hair or something. He beat a ball out to first. Yeah. He was all
oh, I do remember that now. And Gavin was like, dude, what are you doing?
It's dude, you got to sing it, bro.
Calm down. You might not even make the tournament.
And then they said,
they did, but
they said something bad to each other. I was like, Okay. I will
Yeah.
say, I think our most emotional pitcher, emotional, I'm talking about like after the pitch, right? Like does something good. I'm not talking about like, it's supposed to be a strike, I'm talking about, after, like does something good. I think it's Cameron Seagraves.
Yeah, I could see it. McDuffie gets pretty fired up too.
He deserves it though.
Oh yeah, yeah, and yeah, he definitely deserves it.
I'm
Really?
not trying to like just because of his appearance, right? I mean, they were clowning him in the ACC tournament, bro. Were you listening in that game?
Oh, I know.
They went on and on for like 15 minutes about his looks. I was like,
his glasses. He's
this
not
is
the
like
tallest guy.
Borderline like bullying this guy.
It's one of the best relief pitchers in all of college baseball. Like leave the guy alone. Like we love him for how he looks. And look, it's not like his looks like he's ugly, because Walker McDuffie's by no means an ugly guy. He's a handsome guy. He's small in stature and he wears glasses. So it's easy to kind of, say some things.
Yeah. When I got a couple of comments here, Paulie says that the key is to jump on UT early, keep them from gaining momentum. Yeah. Because, like gain momentum, they get all pumped up. No walks or hit by pitches here. Solo shots are survivable.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a UT thing to do. Me too. Hate bat flips. Paulie's firing away. I'd put the next pitch in your ribs if you did that to me back in the 1980s. Yeah.
Hey, I'm all for it. That's baseball. It is what it is.
Rev says, yeah, I'd loved it with Gavin. Dude pumped a fence scraper.
Yeah. I mean, you could see the look in Gavin's face like, are we being for real right now? And I'm pretty sure Carolina had a pretty decent lead at the time, too.
On Sunday?
Oh, no. I was thinking, no, you're right. Sunday they lost that game. You're right.
Because I believe that happened on Sunday.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I was thinking earlier. Yeah, you're right. Because that was the one game they lost that series.
JJ didn't have many highlights game 1 and 2.
No. Yeah, State had very few outside of Rhett Johnson beating out another infield single.
Yeah. Also, talking about that series, Scott Forbes said Ava and him are a lot alike, just two good old country boys.
Oh, look, I got into it with
chat
on Twitter. Like, dude, he was going on for hours. I'm like, man, it's really not that serious. Like
what stats do you have to back this up?
Yeah,
none, dude. I'm an alum with NASCAR diecast on my shelf behind me. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
I mean, it is Jeff Gordon
for real.
So, I mean, some of them are Jeff Gordon. So I don't know if that's too.
It's okay. It's okay.
But one of them's Dale Jr. So
yeah. That look, I usually ignore things like that, but I'm like, man, I got to speak up here. You
did ratio him though. I will say,
I did. Yeah.
Me and Pack Chatter friends. Me and Pack Chatter friends. I will say we're cordial. I mean, I don't know him, right? Yeah, but we we had our run in one time over a logo, and
I forgot about that.
We came to an agreement at the end. He seems like a fun guy. He just has fun with it. But that was Pack Chat. That was a bad take, my guy. But anyway, we're still cool.
Gotcha. Well, Let's talk about him next time.
Oh no, you do what you want. You do what you want. I was reading that. You know me. Anytime you get it in anybody, you start seeing a bunch of likes from Chris.
I always know it's you. When my phone's going ding, 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 it's you liking, one after the other.
I know. I'm telling I'm talking because people might not even know what I'm talking about. A lot of times when Andrew gets in these back and forths on Twitter, I will get up there and try to help him because I feel like I'm like, virtually I can back him up. Like, come on, let's go, man. Yeah. I guess I'm just like liking your tweets, right? And so I'm like a lot of times I'm not even reading. I'm like, oh, Andrew went back.
Just scrolling through the thread.
Bam, bam. He could be talking crap about me. I don't even know it.
I can be saying the Washington Commanders are, going to go 0-17 this year. Like,
man, that cut hard. Anyway, let's talk about VCU. Hey, what I will know is the Cowboys will not win a Super Bowl. And they are not America's team. They are America's bandwagon team.
Okay, let's move on. We won't talk about that.
VCU, a team. So this is where we are in tonight's show. And yes, we are an hour 16 in. Rev, no more comments from you if it has to do with our show length. Okay? Okay? Thank you, Rev.
Yeah.
Do not come at us for our show lengths. Okay? We have to honor the 9 pages of notes that our guy Andrew had.
Trust me, we know it's going to be long.
We're talking about a team in VCU that you believe did not belong in this region because they were too good for the region, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about this VCU team, a team that could be dangerous, is dangerous, right? 37-23 record overall, 10-14 away. Hey, VCU has a better away record, I think, than the 2 and 3 seed. Is that correct?
I know Tennessee, and I think ECU too. I think you're right.
Yes, they're playing different opponents, but 10-14 away, 0-6 in quad 1 games, and 3-3 in quad 2 games. Take it away, Andrew. VCU, what do we got here? What's some of the things that we could be concerned? So this is a little bit different. So we're going to talk about key player stats, but we're also going to be talking about the matchup for Carolina versus VCU on Friday.
Yeah. So again, like I said, I like to go back and see how have they performed over the past month, and VCU is on a pretty much a big roll right now. They've won 3 straight series to end the season. They swept St. Louis and at St. Joseph's, who was the number 1 seed in the A10 tournament. So that's a quality opponent. And then they swept, let's see, at home, they swept Davidson, who I went back and looked at the standings. Davidson was kind of middle of the pack in the A10. So they won the A10 tournament. They defeated number 5 seed Rhode Island 9-1 to win. This is a team that, just like the other 3 teams in the regional, has solid pitching. So again, when you think of VCU, Tennessee, ECU, and Carolina, the first thing you need to look at or think about is the pitching staff. VCU has a quality pitching staff. Their Friday guy is more than likely, I'll be shocked if it's not, who Carolina ends up seeing Friday. And it's Patrick Steets. Luckily, he's a right-handed pitcher. He's a Kansas transfer, 7-3 on the year with a 3.01 ERA. So a solid ERA there for Steets, the Friday guy for VCU.
Yeah, I mean, VCU, they're in a situation where they got to stay to it. They can't be playing with house money.
Right? Oh, no. They got to stick with what they got.
Right. Let's talk about their relief pitcher, right? And Zach Peters, I believe it is.
Yeah, Zach Peters.
Zach Peters, in my opinion, he might be the best pitcher on the staff or up there with Patrick.
I'll say this. He may be one of the best pitchers in the entire regional when you look at all 4 teams.
Whoa.
No, I'm not saying the best. One of the best.
Okay.
No. I'm not going to say he's the best.
We're about to get into this whole debate like we did last show.
No. Not the best. One of the best. You look at the guy's numbers, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I should have looked at this. I don't know what year the guy is. I don't know if he has eligibility left.
I'll look it up.
But if he has eligibility left, this is a guy that every Power 4 school, whether it's SEC, ACC, are going to be knocking on his door, wanting him to come pitch for them. 8-1 on the season. He has served multiple roles. He's been a setup guy. He's been a long reliever. He's been their closer. But 8-1 on the year, 1.6 ERA. He has 85 strikeouts and 25 walks. That is over 15 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's got a really good fastball, hits mid-90s, also has a solid curveball and a solid slider. But one thing about him that I find incredible is that he strikes out nearly half the batters he faces. So this is a team that Carolina wants to jump on early on Friday. Steets is solid, Peters is solid, but you want to jump on them early because if Carolina goes to the 8th or 9th inning and this is a tie game or Carolina's down a run or 2, you're in a world of trouble if they bring Zach Peters out of that pen.
Do you think they can't play with house money here. So we potentially will see their Friday starter. We will see their Friday starter.
Yeah.
And then we are going to see a Zach, probably more than likely.
Yeah, I would be shocked. The only way I see it maybe not happening is if Carolina goes up, 6-7-0 by like the 3rd inning. And so maybe they save him for an elimination game on Saturday. But I'd say more than likely, we're seeing both guys, Steets and Peters, in that game.
Yeah, he is a senior.
Okay.
6'3", 200. I was about to say he could pull a Bill Belichick and scout VCU, just like Belichick scouted Richmond and then brought 2 players through the transfer portal
That's
to
true.
Carolina.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Almost brought a third and a wide receiver that had a great catch against Carolina, but he chose a different school. And because over at the Tar Pit, our football show, we were in conversation with him, but he never took his visit. I don't think he did. But he's been at VCU his whole career. Freshman, made 14 appearances, 15 appearances as a sophomore, 18, and just continued to get better. And as a senior, like you said, earned Atlantic 10 All-Conference first team recognition and was also co-pitcher of the week for February 17th week.
Yeah. And I love to see that. I mean, again, Carolina's brought in their fair share of transfers, but you love to see a guy who stays with the school and just develops over his 4 years there. And look, this is proof that you don't need to go to the ACC or the SEC. Zach Peters is going to hear his name called in June at the MLB draft. I mean, he's that good. I don't know where he's going to get picked. I don't know, it'll probably be mid to late round.
Yeah, because he is a senior.
Yeah, exactly. But this is a guy who will play professional baseball. And so I respect it knowing that, hey, he stayed at VCU for 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be interesting. What else we want to talk about here as we preview this matchup with Carolina versus VCU? Of course, you're gonna be there. I'm gonna be there. I'm staying behind. I will not be there Saturday, regardless. And I am like dying inside over it all. Guess what I have to do?
I have no clue.
They say you do not have weddings in football
Oh,
season.
man.
You do not have weddings in football season, and you do not have weddings in baseball season, and you do not have weddings in basketball season.
Yeah.
You just only have weddings maybe 2 months out of the year.
Yeah, you can do it. My wedding was July 18th. We waited, it was the hottest day of the year. It was like 98 degrees. I was sweating through my tux, but my wife knew no football, no basketball. I was okay, missing the Mets game. Right.
Yeah,
but
you missed your mother-in-law's birthday for Carolina baseball this year, I believe.
Okay, listen to this. So I missed my mother-in-law's birthday. And then I got a text from my uncle yesterday. And I love her to death. It's nothing against her, right? I love my grandmother. Phyllis, fantastic grandmother. So my uncle texted me yesterday. He goes, "Hey, this is Mark." He got a new number. He goes, we're having he calls her Ma, right? He said, "We're having the birthday dinner for Ma at 5:30 on Friday."
Oh, man.
I said, I'm not going to be there. I won't be in town. Look, again, I love my grandmother. I will go down and I will take her out to dinner another day. Just me, her, and my daughter, right? And it'll be just the 3 of us, and my wife can come along if she wants, and I will pay for our meals, and we'll have the greatest conversation. But I will not be there at the birthday dinner on Friday. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's my wife's cousin, so I have to go. But I am going up there in Wilmington. They're going Friday. I'm not going. I'm driving down separate, and I'm going to drive back Sunday.
Smart man.
But
it's worth it. It's all that gas money. It's worth it.
I probably should have never mentioned this because now I got people probably hitting my DMs for my Saturday tickets.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Your DMs are going to be wrecked by tomorrow morning when people hear this.
I've already gotten a few. I've gotten a few.
I've got a couple.
There's one I'm very okay with, Sam, of course. Totally. Let us know if you have an open ticket. One of the most diehard Carolina baseball fans doesn't do the SeatGeek prices, and we understand, right? But he deserves to be there. So if you have an open ticket, let us know.
Yeah.
So Paulie says, "Sorry, me, Ma."
Paulie also says in my anniversary is his birthday. Nice. July 18th is a great day.
So,
and again, we didn't miss any important sporting events that day. So it's nice. Hey, Rev, look, dude, Rev, if you can drive down from Ohio for Saturday, I think that right there, that might be deserving of a ticket right there.
Rev, are you really serious about coming? Shoot me a DM. I might can work something out. All right. Anything else we want to cover with this matchup? I don't feel like we've really done that much of damage yet on this series before we close out.
Like I said, VCU's MO is their pitching. Again, really all four teams in this regional, that's their strength. If you look at their ranks, I got to go back up and find it. Again, man, 9 pages of notes, you lose track of where you're at. So their batting stats aren't going to blow you away. They're 120th nationally at 281 in batting average. OBP, they're 96. They're at 392. They don't have a ton of power, but ERA, they're 31st nationally. WHIP, they're top 50 nationally, but they do walk quite a few. Their strikeout to walk ratio is 119th in the country, which is 1 point. So just under 2 strikeouts for every walk. So that potentially matches up well with what Carolina does offensively. Because Carolina, look, we've seen an uptick in power lately, but Carolina is at its best when the offense is patient, when they're not chasing pitches, and when they're just getting guys on base and moving them over. So that could potentially play into Carolina's favor.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Closing thoughts on the regional as a whole. And who knows, Andrew and I haven't talked about this, but maybe we should go live again throughout the regional. If you're interested, Andrew, I know that you have an hour drive back, right?
Yeah, about an hour and 15. Not too bad.
Yeah, hour 15. I will say, I do want to make this very quick announcement. We are not credentialed for postseason play. That is not a Carolina decision. And I am saying it this way because I want to make sure we give our thanks, right, to the SID there and the Carolina Athletic Department for credentialing us for all of Olympic sports, and then also for Carolina baseball and Carolina softball throughout this season. We have been extremely thankful for that experience. But Hills on Franklin yet does not meet the criteria for regional play. And
keyword yet.
Yet is the key word. Yes, we are disappointed by it, but the thing for us is that we have to continue to know and understand is that we're new. Hills on Franklin is very new. Hills on Franklin has now been going since the start of baseball season, basically.
Yeah, 17 weeks because it's our 17th episode
for Hills on Franklin. But the Tar Pit podcast, all that's been going on now into its fourth year, and we are now covering every single sport almost every week, even Olympic sports. I'll be on tomorrow with Jeff. So we will not be credentialed for the regional and super regionals or even Omaha, more than likely if we're getting credentialed for regional, we're not credentialed for any other thing past that. But we are super. I wanted to make sure I said that so y'all weren't expecting that part of coverage from us, but we will keep doing our due diligence throughout the region, putting out information, putting out articles, things like that. Tomorrow we got a massive article dropping. Everything from tonight's show is going into an article format with a little bit more information as it relates to graphics and some videos added in there of some of the players and key players so that you can easily reference, right? And who knows, you might see Andrew and I on again throughout the regional. I just did want to say it that way because we are super. I just didn't want to say we're not credentialed, right? Because I didn't want to make it seem like that was a Carolina decision. Yeah. So we are super thankful and super grateful for Carolina credentialing us throughout this baseball season. And we're here, right? We can only go here, right? The sky is the roof. What's the saying?
The ceiling is the roof.
The ceiling is the roof. So Andrew, anything else? What's some of your last closing thoughts for the region? I know you got a couple of final regional thoughts. One being 4 really good pitching staffs going to take place here. What else you got?
Yeah, 4 good staffs. We talked earlier. They did Carolina no favors, the committee, by creating this regional. We talked about our gripes, but still Carolina is the best team in this regional, right? So they should win. Anything can happen. I mean, we've seen 4 seeds win regionals. We've seen Carolina get knocked out by 4 seeds, Davidson years ago, right? anything can happen, but Carolina is the best team. And if they're playing their game, Carolina is a hard out for any team in the country, whether that's Georgia Tech, UCLA, or any team in this regional. There are some favorable matchups, Carolina's pitching versus Tennessee's bats. And then finally, and this is a big one, if you get tickets, right? If you're lucky enough to get tickets, we talked about how our DMs are already getting hit for extras. Don't sell your tickets. Look, I don't care if you sell your tickets for game one, like Tennessee, ECU, hey, make that money, right? But don't sell your Carolina tickets. If you can't go, find a Carolina fan, reach out to me or Chris. We'll find somebody for you. Be loud, right? ECU, their fan base travels well. The ones that show up are going to be loud. Same thing for Tennessee. Let's get the Bosch rocking. I always have loved Carolina baseball, but what really made me fall in love was that 2024 team and how the atmosphere in the Bosch through regionals and into supers against West Virginia was just absolutely electric. We need that again this weekend.
Yep. I will say to Paulie, he says, I just found y'all and loved it. Y'all have got a fan here in North Georgia. I'll spread the word to my Tar Heel brothers and sisters. We appreciate that, Paulie. It does mean the world to us. We are growing. My only recommendation is so you can keep up with everything Heels on Franklin is to be sure to go over and subscribe on YouTube. We have almost 2,500 subscribers now. In June, last June, we had 64, just to kind of put that into perspective. I don't say that to boast. I say that's because we've developed a really good community here at Heels on Franklin and really kind of like a family atmosphere that we know every time we hit live, we expect, and we know life happens, right? We expect certain individuals are going to be there, like Big K, even though he's late, he says he's going to go back and watch. Big K has been here since the beginning. So we do appreciate everybody, but go and subscribe to the YouTube. That's where you can find all of our shows. We cover basketball. We cover what else do we cover? Everything.
Football. Literally every Olympic sport. I mean, literally, you will not find another outlet that is covering Carolina sports to this extent.
From a podcast. Yeah.
Other outlets will put out articles or talk a little bit, but this is a weekly thing where every one of these sports is getting talked about in full detail.
For example, 8:30 tomorrow night. Be sure to join back. Heels on the Hardwood with Troy and Jaden at 8:30, talking about Matt Abel and his decision finally to say, I'm going to be a Tar Heel. I'm coming. I'm not staying in the draft. I'm withdrawing.
Huge.
Right? So Big K says, I've never seen something with this much coverage of everything. Big K, we appreciate you, my guy.
And then you and Jeff are live tomorrow afternoon, right?
Yes. Talking Carolina Olympic sports tomorrow afternoon. Don't know the time yet because we might do it in person. If he's listening, he's probably like, what? But if you're not, as you see, I got my couch back behind me. So we're going to try to do some in-person stuff. Wanted to mention, before we hop off, shout out Carolina softball, Sanaa Thompson, Emily Leggett. When it comes to being named first team this, second team that, they've earned some of these already, but what was released today is what will be in the bios, what will be on the websites, because the official, not like a D1 baseball or a D1 softball, while it is great to get those recognitions from those outlets, these are the ones that will live on. I mean, they all live on forever, but they will make it in the bios forever, right? So shout out to Emily Leggett being named NFCA All-America First Team. That's big time. She is the first Tar Heel since 1998 to take home NFCA First Team honors. That's massive. If you want to learn a little bit more about Emily Leggett, I did a sit down earlier with her, and we went into life in the transfer portal, what family means to her, life as a Carolina softball player. It was a great in-person sit down, so be sure to go check that out on YouTube. Then also shout out to Sanaa Thompson, an amazing career so far at Carolina. She has been named to the second team All-American for the NFCA. And what's great about this is both of those are going to be Tar Heels next year.
That's what I was about to say. That's the best part is we get them another year.
We get them another year.
Yeah.
So
I'm telling you,
we are going to.
This year was fun. Next year could be even more special.
You're right. You're right. And continue to check back with us because we're going to talk about Carolina softball. You can go back to last episode where we dove in a little bit deeper about their potential, lineup for next year. Also, we did have Skylar Young hit the portal, I believe, yesterday. She is a sophomore, I believe. And while I'm sad for all Tar Heels to go to the portal right when they go, we are a player first podcast. We wish them well, right? I'm bummed about Skylar. She was an amazing human being from what I was able to learn and know of her. But almost this is the part that stings about the transfer portal, right? Almost every home game that I was at some point, I ended up, if you've been to a Carolina home softball game, they kind of have like the swivel chairs that are for Rams Club members or people that pay for those extra chairs. They always have 2 extra sitting beside them. And I would sit with her mom and dad for almost every home game. So I got to know her dad especially well. And so I'm super bummed to see them go. They were a great Tar Heel family. Like, side note, he does custom sneakers for fun.
That's cool.
And he had some his wife had some awesome Carolina blue ones on, and he had some ones with like some money dollar bills in them somehow or something. But super bummed to see her go, man. Great Tar Heel family, but we wish them well. But shout out to Emily Leggett, first team All-American honors, then second team All-American honors for Sanaa Thompson. That wraps up tonight's show, unless Andrew has anything left that he wants to say.
Only other thing, and look, I wish we could talk even more softball outside of Carolina because, hey, softball super regionals, Texas Tech, Florida. I don't know if you've kept up with that story.
Oof.
But, man, it's been spicy. Jason Williams, NBA legend, his daughter, former Gator, now Red Raider. Man, it's been fun. I've been having a good time kind of seeing the back and forth between being a Cowboys fan. I follow a few Texas Tech fans. So seeing the back and forth between them and the Gators fans.
Yeah. How are the Carolina Hurricanes? Let's let that be the last thing that we talk about tonight. How are the Carolina Hurricanes doing right now? 0-0. 6 minutes left in the first.
Okay.
Andrew knows.
I will not be turning it on.
Andrew,
thank you for that.
Who is leading that series right now?
So I do know this just because my in-laws are huge Canes fans. Hurricanes are up 2-1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had dinner at their house on Monday for Memorial Day and Sunday, because Sunday was my father-in-law's birthday. And they were talking about it. So that's the only reason I know. I have no clue who they would be playing if they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. I have no clue who else is even in it, but I know they're up 2-1.
There you go. I believe it's Vegas has made the Stanley Cup Finals.
See, I forgot Vegas even had a team.
Big K can let us know that. Apparently he's 2 overtime games in this series so far out of 3. So there you go. And then Paulie hitting us with this, which is a disaster.
How about the Cowboys?
Yes, Vegas. All right. Look, if you see us out there at the Bosch this weekend, be sure to come up and say hello. And some people probably hears that. Wait, who does he think he is? But it does happen when we're out, when we go to football games and stuff like that. Definitely from the Tar Pit podcast.
Feels good.
We have our game day live shows, and people come up to us and stuff like that. And that's what we're about at Heels on Franklin, is really growing a family. We're a lot different than other platforms. Our shows are longer than other platforms, and I know that's why our numbers aren't that great on Spotify, because Spotify is more like to the point, right? But we still do load these up in video format to Spotify, so you can catch that as well. But our shows are a little bit longer due to us chopping up, more of a family friend type atmosphere. We know a lot about our listeners. We know they know a whole lot about us. So be sure to introduce yourself if you see us out in public. And I will say, Rev, I don't have a DM from you yet. I'm waiting for that DM. Shoot me a DM because I got something I want to ask you and run by you anyway. All right, guys. Well, that wraps up tonight's show. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification on YouTube so you can be notified of every single time we post a video. Because some videos that we post over on YouTube does not make it over to live format, right? Or doesn't even make it to Spotify. And I want to say this isn't something we're not driving home a lot, while Hills on Franklin is working towards sponsorships, none of us make anything off of that. Rev says I can't DM while watching. It's true. I guess he's not watching anymore because he just sent me a DM.
He's focused.
Rev, that's why you should listen on YouTube, or watch on YouTube. But what was I saying? Oh, you can now also do the giving option on YouTube to help with the cost of putting this show and podcast on. It does actually cost money, and I won't share how much we spend, but it is quite a bit of a lot.
I'll say this. I was shocked when you showed me the Excel spreadsheet. That's all I'm going to say. I was shocked.
You saw my Keenan Flagger.
It was beautiful. Beautiful.
Colors and everything,
It's
man.
nice. Yeah.
No cowboy colors, though.
It's okay. We're not all perfect. It's okay.
All right. So if you like what we do and you want to support it, you can do that on the thanks button on YouTube. If not, that's totally fine. Totally fine. But anyway, let's get out of here. We'll hope to see you at the regional. If not, be sure to catch it on TV. It's going to be a good time. Until next time, go Heels.
Go Heels.
Thank you for listening to Heels on the Diamond, presented by Heels on Franklin. If this episode hit the mark, do us a favor. Like it, drop a comment, and share it with a friend. That kind of support keeps the podcast rolling. You can find all episodes on the Heels on Franklin YouTube channel and on Spotify. So whether you like watching or listening, we've got you covered. We will see you next time.